The Filmbuds podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Go to thefilmbuds.com/donate to download our premium shows, buy Filmbuds merchandise, or donate directly via PayPal or Patreon. That's thefilmbuds.com/donate. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 7th Filmbuds bonus show. And my name is Henry. And no Chloe this time around. She's still just pretty busy doing things, but she should be back for the regular show and for the Music Buds next week. And so stay tuned for that. But joining me once again, welcome back to the show, Mr. Jacob Bowers.
Hello.
Or Jacob number one, as he's known.
This is like a secondary podcast with you and me now.
It kind of is in a way. Yes,
it's Henry Jacob bonus show podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much how it is. Creating our own cinematic universe here.
Yeah.
You know? But this time around, we are going to be talking about Heist.
Pay extra to hear us.
Yeah. Although actually, I was going to release this one free, so
again,
kind of defeats the purpose. But
the show is going communist.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit communist. But this time around, we are going to be talking about heist movies, more so, I guess, modern heist films. Mm-hmm. And our discussion is going to include Ocean's 11, the Steven Soderbergh remake. Then Public Enemies with Johnny Depp, the Michael Mann film. Then we have The Place Beyond the Pines, the Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper drama, as well as 999 and Hell or High Water from 2016. And is that it?
Pretty sure that's it.
Oh, and The Town as well.
Oh, The
The
Town.
Ben Affleck directed drama from 2010. And so some of these are more strictly just heist movies, whereas some of them are
crime thrillers
with kind of the heist aspect thrown in. And so we just kind of tried to pick a few more lesser known and varied films rather than just doing purely heist movies, so that way to try and keep the conversation a little fresher.
They all at least have one bank robbery.
Yes, there's a heist aspect to all of them, so we made it that far.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also if you, I'm sure you heard it if you have downloaded this, go ahead and go to thefilmbuds.com/donate to give just a few bucks to the Filmbuds, or go to our Patreon page and become a Filmbuds patron, Jacob. Yeah. And we'd really appreciate it, especially since we are releasing this one free as well. And so we'd love your support. We love doing it, but sometimes we need a little help, a little nudge, you know. Yeah. So we'd really appreciate that. But thank you either way for downloading and for listening once again. Jacob, how you doing, man?
Doing all right.
Yeah. You still waiting to hear on your South Korea move?
Yeah.
I can't see you.
They're supposed to be getting back to me before the end of July.
Being a little flaky, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said last time. It's looking more and more like I'm still going to be going, but not right away.
Yeah. So but going is the most important thing. So
yeah,
as long
as we'll see.
Yeah. So well, I guess we can kind of kick things off by maybe starting with our first exposures to heist movies, maybe some of our favorites, whether it's some of the ones we're talking about or others. Jacob, now this is one of your favorites, or if not your all-time favorite genre or subgenre, right?
It is. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite genre.
What was there a certain film that kicked the passion off for you?
It wasn't a film, actually.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of it, but in like middle school, I read this book where these kids were like, they planned out a heist to go steal like their their baseball back from some like old man's house. They
Okay.
like accidentally thrown it over the fence or like something. I don't know. It was some like juvenile fiction book,
Like The Sandlot?
sort of.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it sort of just laid out the heist formula for me. Like there was like each of them had like a role to play that played to like their strengths.
Yeah.
And I had kind of experienced that from sort of being into like the A Team and other things like that when I was a kid, and then that sort of developed, and I became more and more interested seeing the Ocean's movies, and then I watched this show called Leverage. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
That show's great, and I do enjoy like the movies like Place Beyond the Pines and Hell and High Water, where it's more of like a crime thriller with heisty aspects.
Yes.
But like I love my favorite is like the pure like heist movies. Like the entire movie revolves around one big thing, and everyone has a very specific thing to do. Like there's like pure tropey, like this guy is the leader, the hacker, like explosives expert, whatever. You
Right.
know, everyone
Like a
has,
Logan
this
Lucky
little role.
kind of deal, right?
Yeah, and I don't know why that just always captured me.
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of just went from there. I don't know what it is. I really get into it.
No, man, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
might rob a bank someday.
Yeah. Hey,
that out.
maybe we should get into this. If you were to rob a bank or rob a place, how would you do it?
Would I do it? I have no idea.
No? You've had so much time.
These days, it's hard these days.
It is very, very tough these days to rob. But
I watched a video that I don't know, like Wired or BuzzFeed or something put on where it was like one of their series where they have someone come on and explain what they do to like kids. And I had this like ex bank robber who had like just gotten out of prison. He was in there for like 20 years. And they were like he was like explaining to them how he robbed the bank. And he was like reformed and like a nice guy and everything. And he regretted what he'd done and said he sort of lost his wife and his kids in the process, you know.
makes sense.
All of this, but his plan was solid.
Man.
He said what got him was there was this homeless guy that would always sleep outside the bank, and he recognized him.
Oh, wow.
Because he said he put out a fake job application to get everyone to come to the bank dressed in a maintenance uniform, because it was like a maintenance position, and he was like, show up in your like maintenance clothes. And then he wore that outfit, so when they get there's like hundreds of people all dressed the same. And then he went up and maced a guard that was carrying money from an armored truck to the inside of the bank, grabbed it, ran out the back to a nearby river, whitewater rafted down it or like tubed down it or something.
Nice.
And then got into like his friend's van, and they were out of there.
Huh.
And then the police were investigating, and they were like, did you see anything? And he was like, oh yeah, there's this guy out back. And he's like, I've seen him casing the place. I've seen him like 4 or 5 times. And it's just, he just didn't notice him. It's just some homeless man.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's how he got caught.
Man, bummer.
But, yeah, it was really interesting.
An outdoorsman, whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
That's new.
The kids were all about it.
I think you could do gas stations I think that's still kind of a...
Gas stations.
Yeah, I mean, that's still kind of... There's not much you can do.
Wave a water gun around, steal the money.
Yeah. Cool.
Just go ahead and edit all that.
That's all right. But no, I would never rob a place. All right.
Don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't need to.
Thankfully.
I've got millions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Man, podcasting is good right? So, yeah, well, for me, I think that I don't know I really like heist movies as well. I think the one that I remember making an impression first is the Dark Knight opening sequence, which I still think is amazing.
Right.
And it's clearly inspired a lot of films such as The Town, right? We'll be getting into that. We were talking about that before the show.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I do love Ocean's or that whole trilogy. And I'm always up for a pure heist movie like what we've talked about with Logan Lucky or films like that. So it's a really fun genre, and I think people have had a pretty good run of putting good ones out recently. Like it's been one or two good ones every year for the most part. So
Yeah.
And yeah. Well, I guess should we dive right in? All right, well, let's get into our first review, which is Ocean's 11 from 2001, and we have a clip. Let's take a listen.
You guys are pros. The best. I'm sure you can make it out of the casino. Of course, lest we forget, once you're out the front door, you're still in the middle of the fucking desert.
You're right. He's right.
Reuben, you're right. Our eyes were bigger than our stomachs.
That's exactly what it is. Pure ego.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Thank you for lunch.
These swell was delicious.
Sorry we bothered you. Look, we all go way back, and I owe you from the thing with the guy in the place, and I'll never forget it.
All right, so like I said, Ocean's 11 was released in 2001, and it's directed by Steven Soderbergh, stars George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, Bernie Mac, Casey Affleck, Scott Kahn, Matt Damon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
And many others, huge cast. And the synopsis is Danny Ocean and his 11 accomplices plan to rob 3 Las Vegas casinos simultaneously. So this one, when it came out, it grossed $450.7 million against a budget of $85 million. So definitely a hit, and assuredly propelled Soderbergh into more commercial fame and success. Although he had done the George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez film before this, Out of Sight, but I think this one is by far his biggest film to date, or to when that came out.
Now you did do a Soderbergh bonus show, right?
We did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we talked about Out of Sight, actually, so you can download that one. And we talked about Magic Mike.
Did you do any of the Ocean's movies?
We didn't, no.
Oh,
just because I figured at some
see.
point, like we're doing right now, that we'd be talking about them in more of a focused or specific fashion. So
And we did talk about Ocean's 8.
We did.
On the regular show, and I was on that.
yeah, which I guess came out maybe around this time last year, something like that.
a while
So you
ago.
can check that one out as well. Yeah, well, like I said, this is one of my favorite heist movies, if not my all-time favorite heist film.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. And it's clearly inspired many films since, and I think it still kind of reigns supreme for the cast and the chemistry and just the inspired storytelling and wittiness that not a lot of movies have done nearly as well. And I think it still is at the top for me in that respect.
Oh yeah.
Now, are you overall a fan of the trilogy? Or is there one that you like much more than the others? Or
Well, it's been a while since I've watched the whole trilogy, probably 6 or 7 years ago. But I remember liking the first one a lot. Like, I remember thinking all three were brilliant, but the first one really kicked it off for me. You know, it really captured me.
yeah,
Because that was the first heist movie I ever watched, I think.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
sort of started the lifelong love affair.
yeah, man, still going, right? But it's such a, like, George Clooney and Brad Pitt are really kind of and Matt Damon, even though he's not in it as much as them, are just kind of at the height of their charisma and chemistry with
Right.
by themselves, and then also with each other, and just some of the banter and how they're constantly getting a step up on people, but then at the same time or in the next scene it'll all fall apart and they're having to problem solve, and all of that stuff is done really well, and although it's exaggerated in a realistic sense, it's still really entertaining and fun, and it coasts along very well. And I think with a cast of this size or characters, the amount of characters, it's balances everything pretty well. Like it doesn't feel overstuffed, whereas I feel like Ocean's 12 kind of does in that sense. So
Yeah, and I love Brad Pitt too.
yeah, well, he's your favorite actor,
So,
you know.
Yeah,
Now, are you a long hair Brad Pitt or a short hair Brad Pitt?
short hair Brad Pitt.
Short hair? I'm more of a long haired guy, but
Oh, really?
that's just me.
Yeah, that's like old Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Like just run down Brad Pitt. World War Z Brad Pitt.
Run down Brad Pitt, yeah. But although I guess he hasn't been in that many movies where he has long hair, so I guess maybe short hair Brad Pitt. But
Is he back to the short hair now?
I think he is because he's in that Ad Astra where his hair is pretty short, so high and tight, you know.
He was in Deadpool too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah. But it's like he, and I think just the look of his character, I think a lot of times that kind of overly stylish look to a character can be grating or annoying, but he pulls it off really well.
His name
Like
is like Rusty.
Yeah, and like he's got the earring and the hand wrist tattoo, which is awesome. And for some reason, it just is great. It feels genuine, and he plays it off really well.
And then of course you have George Clooney playing playing a character that he usually he plays in a lot of movies, just sort of being a real
Charmer.
slick, just fox of a man.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, he's being himself, but I don't know. I love George Clooney being himself, you know.
Yeah, I'd say the I haven't seen all his movies, but one movie I that I think he's very different in was A Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Very different in that movie.
Have you seen The American? It's
The American? No.
Yeah, it's a really kind of subdued spy drama. It's quite good. And he was just in that new Hulu show, the Catch-22, which is like a World War II satire. Although
That's right.
Yeah, although I do really like him as an actor for the most part, I am not crazy about his directorial films. They seem to kind of fall a little short for
What
me.
is he directed?
He did Monuments Men, Ides of March, that football one with Leatherheads, the like kind of classic football movie with John Krasinski, and
Does this all sound boring?
yeah, that's kind of what they are.
Just the titles.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so they work really well, and this is also one of the few films that I really enjoy Julia Roberts in. I think she's quite good. And sorry, my dog. Jesus Christ.
Dog is freaking out.
Yes.
What's up?
Jeez. Sorry, everybody. My dog hadn't greeted Jacob yet, and so she was going a little nuts. So, sorry for that little distraction. But people are probably used to that at this point.
Isn't there an Ocean's movie? Isn't it like one of them where they have Julia Roberts go distract some guy? And
That's
they're like,
12, I believe.
Because they're like, hey, that girl looks a lot like Julia Roberts. But like, she's actually Julia Roberts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, I think that's 12. I could be wrong. But yeah, I do like her in these movies, and there's not a ton else that I love her in, but I do really like her in this. And yeah, the introduction of Matt Damon is great as the pickpocket.
He was pretty young in that movie.
Yeah, I think this is pre-Born, maybe, or right around the same time as Born. So
Pre-Born.
yeah. So
the Born movies or his
launch,
birth as an actor.
Yeah.
His pre-birth.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, so this, and then I guess these kind of both came out simultaneously in terms of that trilogy, and this trilogy was around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and somehow, I mean, it's all done with kind of a wink, but I mean, all the characters feel genuine in one way or the other, you know, even though it is very stylized and very wacky and flashy. You feel like they could be real people in one sense, you know.
Yeah, it feels very cartoonish, but like at the same time, yeah, like very like down to earth. Like I don't know, like yeah, like it's what Soderbergh does best.
Yeah, I would agree.
Highly stylized and goofy, while also feeling as if it could be a real scenario.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it feels like. He's taking from someone like Tony Scott with like True Romance or even like Top Gun or films like that are very like MTV style, and Soderbergh kind of takes from that and does his own thing. But yeah, there is a brief appearance of Topher Grace as well towards the beginning, and Brad Pitt actually calls him Topher. Which is funny, and so I don't know if his actual character is named Topher, but
or is that like a mistake? Something
I'm not sure, but I think the clip that you had just heard actually it's in that scene, and which is interesting. I mean, it doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things, but it's kind of a fun little, I guess, self-aware mistake, you know, to leave that in.
Because sometimes that happens. I was watching this TV show the other day, and one of the characters called another character by their actual name, but it was so quick that like I guess the editor just didn't catch it or something, or just didn't edit it out.
What show?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, this is very much a pure heist film, and the heist is great within the casino. And I love the scene with the balloons. Or is that in this one where Casey Affleck and his partner? Oh, that's one thing I'll mention is I love the Casey Affleck and what's the guy's name?
They like brothers.
Yeah, I think so. Scott Conn. Yeah, they're brothers, and I love. That's another thing that this type of film could get really obnoxious, but I find all of their very childish dynamics hilarious.
Yeah, they're like the Tinkers.
Yeah.
They've got those like RC cars and like 12, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a scene where he's driving the mini race car, and then Scott Conn comes in with an actual like sized car and crushes it, and
oh yeah.
It's just that kind of brotherly dynamic, which is great. And so, yeah, it's just it's very consistently entertaining and finds ways to reinvent itself, even though there's nothing really that new in it. It's just self-aware enough to make you not care as much about some of the details and other aspects that you can, or that could cause you to pick it apart, you know. And yeah, so cool film, really cool film. I would say this is probably my favorite of the three, and then 13 and then 12 would be at the bottom. Although I don't hate that movie, as some people seem to really dislike it.
Which one?
12.
Oh,
it's a little overly bombastic, and it seems like Soderbergh seems a little too aware of this is a flashy, like MTV heist film, and it just becomes kind of incoherent at times. But I still enjoy it.
How does 8 fit in there for you?
It would be 11, 13, 8, 12.
Who directed 8?
That guy Gary who did the Hunger Games, Gary Ross, maybe is his name. He's not my favorite, although I think Ocean's 8 was fun. But I think that movie is saved pretty entirely by the cast.
Yeah, and I really liked what they. I really love a good redemption arc for a villain character. So
Yeah.
I really liked that Anne Hathaway was like part of the team at the end.
Yeah. Have you
was
seen
pretty
The
great.
Hustle? The new Anne Hathaway.
I have not.
It's the remake or spinoff of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but with women. Supposed to be bad, but hey, haven't seen it myself.
Yeah, how about that Charlie's Angels trailer?
I told you on Facebook, I really like Kristen Stewart in it. Like, she looks great. I like the character. And I like Elizabeth Banks as well, but some of the backdrop of the movie seems a little too familiar. That's my only worry.
Be a wild ride. I don't know.
Hey man, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping for that wild ride.
Elizabeth Banks is in it and directing it, right?
She might be, yeah. I think she is directing it, yeah.
She's directing it, and I think she's in it. Like, she's the head of that agency.
Yeah. And so it has a good cast. I'll say that. I'm just a little worried, just a little, Jacob, just a little. But hey, I'm here for Kristen Stewart, right?
We'll see.
Yeah. So, all right, well, cool. Anything else about Ocean's 11?
I'm sure they'll know what we're talking about when we say that it is very good.
Mm-hmm. It is very good, yeah. So, all right, well, out of 5?
5.
5 for me.
5.
Cool, man.
Yep.
So, all right, well, let's move on and let's get to Michael Mann's Public Enemies.
Michael Mann, what a guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a clip as well. Let's take a listen.
What is it exactly you do for a living?
John Dillinger robbed banks. That's where all these people here put their money.
Why'd you tell me that? You could have made up a story.
But I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's a serious thing to say to a girl you just met.
I know you.
Well, I don't know you. I haven't been any place.
Well, some of the places I've been ain't so hot. Where I'm going is a whole lot better. You wanna come along?
Boy, you are in a hurry.
If you were looking at what I'm looking at, you'd be in a hurry too.
Well, it's me they're looking at this time.
You're beautiful.
They're looking at me because they're not used to having a girl in their restaurant in a $3 dress.
Listen, doll. That's because they're all about where people come from. The only thing important is where somebody's going.
Where are you going?
Anywhere I want.
Okay, so Public Enemies is directed by Michael Mann, like we said, and was released in 2009. And it stars Johnny Depp, Christian Bale, Marion Cotillard, Carey Mulligan, Christian Stolte, Jason Clarke, Stephen Graham, David Winham. That's about it, I think. Giovanni Ribisi as well. And the synopsis is: the feds try to take down notorious American gangsters John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson, and Pretty Boy Floyd during a booming crime wave in the 1930s. So this one grossed $214.1 million against a budget of $100 million, which seems very high for this movie. I would not have guessed it was that high.
What was it?
$100 million.
Against?
So its budget was $100 million.
Oh.
It grossed 214.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty high.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the Johnny Depp
Oh, I'm
power.
sure. Because this was right in his Pirates of the Caribbean, Alice in Wonderland kind of prime. So he was loving life.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this one is, all about the, I guess, iconic bank robbers from the Great Depression and Prohibition. And yeah, Johnny Depp is John Dillinger. And I think this might have been the first Michael Mann movie I saw. I think.
I don't know everything he's directed, but I think it was also the first one I saw by him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I realized it was directed by him until much later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I knew at the time.
Michael Mann is great.
Yeah, I was
Michael Mann's the digital man.
He is, yeah.
The digital master.
Yeah. Is he doing anything? I feel like the last thing he did was Black Hat, and that was a while back.
It's the last thing I saw, yeah.
Yeah.
and everyone hated that movie, but I was like, have you seen Black Hat?
I have seen Black Hat.
Like,
Now, have you seen the director's cut?
I have not.
They released it on TV. And I don't love either version, but the director's cut is an improvement for me. I want to love it. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, man, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. But but maybe at some point we can review it. That'd be fun.
The story is lacking, but it's just so like visually beautiful. I'm sure like if you got
It looked good.
if you got your hands on like a 4K Blu-ray or something, it'd be amazing.
Oh yeah.
But someone just comes up to me and they say, "Yeah, I don't like Black Hat," and I'm just like, "Have you seen Black Hat?
You're mental. You're
Have
mental.
You seen it?
Yeah.
Have you looked
Have
at
you
it?
seen? Have you ever seen a movie before?
But
but no,
like Mann and Fincher are up there for the digital men.
yeah. Well, I mean, the one issue with that. Sorry to get sidetracked, but like they try and make you believe that Chris Hemsworth is this like hacker, like all,
Oh yeah,
and he's like doing handstands in his prison cell, and he's like perfectly chiseled. It's like hackers.
They're like combining two archetypes.
Yeah. It's just come on, let's pick.
He was kind of I mean, in that Ghostbusters reboot, he was like an idiot, but he was also like
And I like
he
him.
was
in
also
that.
like a nerd, I guess.
Yeah.
Like really attractive nerd.
An attractive nerd.
Idiot nerd.
Yeah.
He was a really attractive, smart nerd
Yeah.
in Black Hat.
Good.
But
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Oh yeah. But yeah, Public Enemies and I think Chloe has been trying to convince me that I only love this movie because she's not crazy about it, that I only love it because of Johnny Depp, where although I do think it's one of his best performances, I do genuinely love the film. I think that it's just, I mean, I love these gangster dramas like this, and I think that just the handheld Michael Mann style to it is great and really adds something new as well. And I think that I love the dynamics between John Dillinger and Marion Cotillard, or her, I guess Billy Frechette is the character, and just the issues with them trying to deal with, okay, can I love this guy because he's a criminal, but then I do have feelings for him genuinely, and it's just the back and forth and the loss of one another at certain points is really captivating, and I think it's added by or supplemented by the performances.
A classic scenario.
Yeah.
One that I've been in many times.
Oh yeah. Robin Banks,
Robin Banks falling in love.
Yeah. Hey man, they go hand in hand.
Struggling with which one do I give up?
It's a tough call. Tough call. And and also at the beginning of the movie, a appearance from Channing Tatum as Pretty Boy Floyd. He's the one who gets
Did not realize that.
his guts are falling out because he gets shot by Christian Bale out in the apple orchard.
Christian Bale also in here.
Yeah, he's the main guy. he's the investigator who's tracking down Dillinger. But no, I think he's good, although his accent is a little too much. Like it's this very deliberate, and I'm sure that's probably how the guy actually talked, but at times it's a little distracting.
So, Christian Bale.
But no,
I apologize.
Right. But yeah, I think, and also you get a good share of muzzle flash in this movie. Like so many of the gunfights are like the camera's right on the end of the guns.
Oh yeah.
And it's just kind of this very intense, vibrant muzzle flash, and just the sound design as well with that is really visceral and captivating. And I think that, because I guess in this case with John Dillinger, they try and make it out to be where he's like the good, quote unquote, bank robber, where he's taking the bank's money, not your money. which, I mean, all in all,
Right.
it's still people's money. But again, I mean, these people were seen as
odd justification.
Yeah, but then again, these people were kind of seen as the superheroes of the time just because they were kind of going against the government and taking like a Robin Hood-esque kind of scenario, whereas so many people were suffering. They saw these guys as the ones who were really taking it to them and not letting the darkness of the time affect them.
But then they just like kept all the money for themselves, didn't they?
Usually,
It's not like they were distributing.
well,
it
yeah. See, that's
the poor.
the dilemma exactly. So, but yeah, it's just any action sequence in this is fantastic, and all the bank robberies are excellent as well. Because I mean, Johnny Depp really owns that character, and like we said, it's kind of one of his prime parts of his career, and he really does well. And also Stephen Graham, who's Babyface and Elson, and some of the supporting cast are all excellent. And
Do you know who John Mulaney is?
yeah,
Stand-up
oh yeah,
comedian.
yeah.
This movie makes me think of his bit about old time bank robbers, when he's like, old time bank robbers wanted everyone to know who they were. Like they just shoot their name into the side of a wall,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, if anyone asks, tell them it was us. He's like, were bullets free back then?
Right.
And it's like, because they just want to be like these celebrities, I guess.
Yeah, and they were in many
they're not
respects.
trying to, now it's like you go rob a bank, you don't want people to know who you are.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, because back then, no cell phones, right? No Apple devices. You could just snap a quick pic of them.
Back in the day, like stage coaches and Mausers.
Those were the
Not
days,
very
man.
easy
Yeah,
to get people.
miss the old times. But yeah, it's it's just, to me, I mean, I know one criticism of it is that people find it boring, which I think that there are.
I don't remember it being boring.
Yeah.
I remember having a great time.
Yeah, me too, man.
And everyone should agree with me.
Yeah, I don't get it, but no, I mean, I think there are parts of it. I mean, it's, even though it is handheld, it's kind of more gradually paced than I guess you would expect from a film like this, and it really picks its spots for the action, and so I can see how some people would feel that way. Although I think that there's enough weight and power to the movie that I don't really feel that way. And I love the ending where he's killed, and that whole setup where they're going to the movie theater and Christian Bale is working with his team to coordinate at which theater to go to and who's going to shoot, who's going to do what. And that final walk where he's Johnny Depp is walking down the street and he turns and looks at the FBI agent before he's shot is a really memorable moment. And because at first, I guess the way it's directed is they want to make it seem like he's almost, or I guess one of the guys who's about to shoot him is almost taken aback by his stare and like, almost like he's too cool or too above them to be shot. Like he doesn't expect them to, because he's been able to get away with it for so long. But then the kind of more callous, cold agent comes up and shoots him afterwards. But it's that moment where you think he might get away with it and he might just keep walking down the street. But alas, he gets a bullet, Jacob, instead. So, love that moment. And very good score as well, and a few good soundtrack pieces as well. So it's, I find it very memorable and very emotional at times, and I love Marion Cotillard and how that character evolves, and yeah,
I love me a good heist.
Mm-hmm.
And bank robbing is the simplest form of heisting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, and I guess in this one there's also the very historical moment of Johnny Depp or of John Dillinger breaking out of prison with just a toy wooden gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so, which is pretty crazy to think about. And of course, you couldn't do that now. But at the time, he managed to do it somehow, just by using this kind of little pre-made wooden gun or stick, even. And so, stuff like that, where it's so clearly indulging in the time frame in terms of technology and everything. And sorry, there's wiggling on the table here, but that's okay. I love that stuff, and I think it gets much more gritty and personal than you might expect from a film like this. So I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's very the visual style was very like black and white.
Yeah.
It was very washed out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Not very colorful, but it didn't need to be.
No.
It was Michael Mann, if he wants to do dark, he can do dark. If he wants to do bright, he can do bright.
Yeah.
Like I just remember a specific scene in Black Hat. It's like the Black Hat show now.
No, it's okay.
Where he, like Chris Hemsworth's character is like driving away in like a speedboat, and like the sunset, like the sun is like just coming up over the horizon, and the sky's like pink and blue and like all of this, and it's just like it just looks really good on the digital film. So
yeah,
that's what he's doing.
The kind of the king of that.
And of course, like Miami Vice, right?
Yep. Yeah, he did that.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Which is your favorite of his?
Which one is my favorite?
Of Michael Mann's films.
Probably Miami Vice. I don't know if that's like a bold choice or not.
I think it is. It's a hot take.
Yeah.
Because I know some people that don't like that movie, but what do they know, right?
Right. We know best.
Yeah. Here on the Film Buds, we know best.
Here on the Film Buds, we tell people what to like.
It's true. That's why I do it.
But yeah, so overall, I pretty much agree with what you've said. Yeah. Yeah,
man. Cool little film.
I don't really have a lot of like detailed stuff to say about Public Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I do, however, have quite a bit to say about Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh yeah.
When we get there.
Yeah. Give it time. Well, let's see. There's might not be too much else. It is just it's kind of a favorite film of mine. I guess it's actually one of the first. I remember buying the DVD at Walmart, I think, back when it came out. And this was before I had even really gotten into movies. And I remember really having an impact on me and kind of reminding me that, like, movies can just be more than silly blockbusters and stuff. And so there's a bit of nostalgic fondness for it, but I still genuinely really, really like the movie. And I've watched it many, many times. So.
There was a time when you were not into movies.
Yeah, I only got into movies in a serious way maybe in my last year of high school. So before that, man, I was I was loose. I was like, what? I could have gone to rob a bank. I don't know. But I'm glad I didn't.
I mean, it's pretty much like the same for me, to be honest.
I was more of a video game guy in high school and middle school, and then
I'd go see the big stuff in the theaters. But
I
realized there were more movies.
Oh yeah.
Other than just that.
Yeah, other than Transformers 5, it's,
I'm still a video game guy though.
Yeah,
TV guy, music guy.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I've lost, not kind of purpose. What's the word? You say it for me.
What purposefully?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about my attention span has kind of dwindled for video games. I just, like, even if it's a video game I love, I just can't seem to actually take the time to finish it. And I don't know why exactly, but I've just kind of not grown out of it, because I still really respect them and enjoy playing them when I do, but I can't sit down and play it nearly as long as I used to. But
I have like no attention span for books anymore, which is something I'm trying to
well, see, I've gotten into
repair.
because I listen to this one podcast a lot, and I've gotten really just kind of being an audio learner, and so I've started to listen to audiobooks a lot, which are cool.
Ironically, I have almost no attention span for listening to podcasts. I'll try to listen to podcasts and I'll just tune out. I don't know.
No, it's okay.
What it is, but yeah, trying to read more books. But because books used to be like my thing, just read books all the time.
Yeah.
But then I discovered video games, and then
They took over.
Video games and movies so easy to just sink so much time into.
Oh yeah.
You're just like 12 hours in, you don't even know what happened.
yeah.
And
like how did I get here?
TV, you get on Netflix, you got a whole 22 episode season, you knock it out.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. But with a book, it's like
you gotta sit there and
you still gotta push yourself more to get into it.
Yeah.
My brain starts going all kinds of places, and there's just nothing to immediately stimulate, like visual, like audio, like all these different things. But I know that's not healthy, so I'm trying to read
That's
more.
all right. I'm sure it's fine.
But I also have these like periods where I'm like, I'm gonna do nothing but watch movies. I don't feel like playing video games. Like if I play video games, I get super bored. If I listen to, well, I kind of always want to listen to music. But if I watch TV, I'll get like super bored. And then eventually I'll be like, I'm tired of movies. Let's go watch some TV.
Yeah.
And I'll do nothing but watch TV. Then I'll do like nothing but play video games. I can't do
many things at once.
Yeah, I can't be always playing video games all the time and also like watch a bunch of movies.
Right.
I don't know what it is. My brain just won't operate all of them at once.
No, it's okay.
It would be one at a time.
Hey, you pick your moments, right? Pick your spots. That's cool.
And like I've got this thing about movies where I'll watch like 5 seasons of a TV show and then I'll go try and watch a movie and then it'll be over in like 2 hours and I'm like, I just got to spend over 100 hours with these characters and I only get to spend 2 hours with these characters. Like, that's disappointing.
Yeah. I've been watching. I talked about it on the Midsummer review show yesterday, but I've been watching a lot of animated short films on YouTube, and it's.
I noticed you've been sharing a lot of those.
Yeah, there's some really good ones. I would check them out, but since those films are usually only about 4 or 5 minutes. At times, when I go back to like a full length movie, I'm like, let's get this over with. I could have watched 10 or 20 short films within this time, but
is that what I noticed you have a Blomkamp thing over there? Is that a collection of his short films?
No, his 3 features, District 9, Elysium, and
have you seen
Chappie.
his short films?
I've seen a few of them.
He's got like his own studio now.
And some of them are really cool. Yeah.
But I've noticed you've been sharing a lot of those animated short films.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Because you don't know what it's like to follow Henry on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
He posts like a Russian bot.
Yeah. If you don't know,
Everything.
just try and friend request me on Facebook or something, and you'll see my sharing.
Now, Facebook, Facebook and Google with all their targeting. Since I've liked so many of your posts, they've sort of just zoned in on you as like someone that I
follow,
that I like really want to see more of. So I'd say probably like 95% of my feed on a daily basis is just Henry posts. But I just it's because I
skim through it.
Keep liking so many of them. They just keep showing up.
Well, I mean, hey, it's I do it for the people, right? For the masses.
I'm like, man, Henry is real interested in a broad variety of subjects.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what people say on our reviews. Is they like my open-mindedness, But and it's actually turned out where I've been sharing so much that at times they need to make sure I'm not a robot, actually. And
Facebook will like ban you if you.
Yeah. I've been getting close. But then also one thing that it may be new, I don't know, but I've been quote unquote recognized as a top fan by a few sites that I share.
That's a thing that's been happening to. It's like a new feature, I guess.
Yeah. And so I've become a top fan for maybe 5 different sites that I like. Time Magazine. I became a top fan because I share so much of their stuff.
Yeah, I'll go comment like once on like a Game Informer post, and they're like, "Oh, you're a top fan." Like,
don't take it away from me, Jacob. It's for the elite.
Oh yeah,
but
and then like a week later, it'll just be gone again.
Yeah,
I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, become a top fan. You don't even know the prestige that it brings.
Is anyone a top fan of the Film Buds podcast?
Oh yeah, we've got some top fans. Yeah.
Do we have a Facebook page?
We do.
Yeah,
and a Twitter page and Instagram. So
I'm not that into social media. I pretty much am only on Facebook, but occasionally I'll go on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I almost kind of do Twitter out of obligation for the podcast, but I don't really spend much time on it. Although we have had some recent activity, like I was telling you, and so make sure to go to our Twitter page at Film Buds if you haven't yet, and start commenting your thoughts on our shows and all that jazz, because we always love seeing the weird thoughts that people have on our viewpoints and everything. So
yeah, Facebook's just
it's the big one,
the big time,
big daddy.
Yeah, I can spend like 2 hours on Facebook. I'm just like, what am I doing?
You're telling me, man. It's
liking Henry's post.
Yeah, preaching to the choir.
that's
I'm like, all right, how many likes did I build up today?
Well, because I sit there and I'm like, man, I've spent a lot of time on Facebook. But then I'm like, wait, but if I've spent a lot of time on Facebook, that means that Henry's spent a lot of time on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Because all I see is stuff that you post, which means you have to be there all the time.
Yeah.
Posting stuff.
Well, I mean, I've gotten really quick. I can share like 10 in just a few minutes. Like share.
There you go.
So it's a skill. So, all right. Well, anything else about Public Enemies?
Nope.
All right. Well, yeah, love that muzzle flash. So that's my last thing. So, out of 5, it's a 5 for me. Another 5 banger.
Yeah, let's do 5.
All right. Well, cool. I guess we can move on and get to our third review, which is Ben Affleck's The Town from 2010. And guess what, Jacob?
What's that?
We got a clip. Let's take a listen.
You can't stay.
I don't want to stay. I want to go with you. Why can't I change? I could be a different person. You tell me what you want me to do. I'll be whoever you want me to be.
I'm leaving with somebody else.
Yeah. Why isn't she here then?
Come on. What are you gonna have me to tell you?
She's going away with you. Why isn't she here?
Okay, so The Town came out in 2010, and like I said, is directed by Ben Affleck and stars Ben Affleck as well. Rebecca Hall, John Hamm, Jeremy Renner, Blake Lively, Chris Cooper. That might be about it, I think.
I had forgotten that John Hamm was in this.
He is, yes. And the synopsis, as he plans his next job, a longtime thief tries to balance his feelings for a bank manager connected to one of his earlier heists, as well as the FBI agent looking to bring him and his crew down. So, yeah, this one is one of Ben Affleck's few directorial efforts, and for the most part, I guess besides Live by Night, his films have been pretty well received.
Yeah, he did Argo, and then he did this.
Gone Baby Gone as well, before this.
I thought this was his... I heard people calling this his sophomore effort. I guess maybe they just didn't know.
Well, no, I mean, he did Gone Baby Gone first, and then...
I thought Argo was first.
Nope. No, Argo was 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Live by Night.
Yeah, which I would say is his weakest movie. But... yeah, so this one is, I guess, kind of takes off or is inspired by the real-life suburb in... I guess that is nicknamed The Town in Boston, that is essentially a breeding ground for bank robbers, and so many bank robbers in that area have come from or have grown up from in that little region in the city, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about. And so it's dealing with that very tight-knit community of people who many of them are crooked, so to speak. And this one begins with a really great heist where they're wearing, I guess, ghoul masks or something like that, kind of Halloween mask.
Yeah.
And I mean, the heists in this movie are incredible. I love them.
I have a friend who lived in the city wherever they were filming this, and he said that it just sounded like a war zone every night.
Was it not Boston?
I mean, it might have been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it takes place in Boston, but I
didn't know if they were like filming it elsewhere.
Oh yeah,
because like a lot of times things are filmed in Vancouver.
Yeah,
but that's where.
And if filming began 2009 August in Boston, so yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I can imagine it's some more muzzle flash. Another.
Yeah, he said you just heard like gunfire and explosions all night long.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one is dealing with, like the synopsis alluded to, is where they take Rebecca Hall hostage, and she's the bank manager of this opening heist. And they end up, she ends up seeing or noticing things about them, small little things, and then they end up letting her go. But then she's living in that area, and so there's the power struggle or nervousness of Ben Affleck being discovered by these people, by Rebecca Hall, and then he, in order to keep that relationship quiet, I guess, he ends up befriending her. But then there's a relationship that forms, and similar to Public Enemies, there's the idea of kind of criminal love and the passion and doubt and everything that goes along with that. But it's a kind of almost like a reverse, like Stockholm syndrome or something, where it's the criminal who's dealing with the attraction more so than the victim. And but yeah, again, it's another great ensemble cast. I think Jeremy Renner, it's probably one of his best performances.
Is this like a early movie for him?
I think it was around the same time as Hurt Locker. It might have been the same year, actually. So I think it was just as he was getting going for mainstream stuff, like pre-Marvel territory. But yeah, I think he's amazing in it, and I do really like Ben Affleck as well. And I think his little crew of, including Jeremy Renner, his crew of bandits work really well and feel very genuine. I guess because, I mean, Ben Affleck is from Boston himself.
Boston man.
Yeah, man. And some people criticize Blake Lively in this. I actually really like her. She's a little over the top, but you're shaking your head. Are you not?
I'm shaking my head at the people who don't like Blake Lively.
No, I mean, I do not love her in most things. I really like her in A Simple Favor.
She's great in everything.
Okay. And I like her a lot in this.
The Shallows.
She's good in The Shallows. I would say so.
Brilliant.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, maybe not so much, but I think she's similar to Ryan Reynolds, and I guess it makes sense that they're a couple. Let me finish. So, I think that she seems like a great person, and I think that she definitely has talent, but maybe it's more so she's one of those people who just has either maybe a bad agent for picking bad projects, or maybe it's her picking them herself, but like she's just not in that many great movies. Whereas I think maybe if she had better projects consistently, I think that there would be a little more I guess appreciation. But I do really like her in this. I like the look of her character. She's kind of a, for lack of a better word, kind of trashy, gal.
I like what you're saying about the picking of movies. Reminds me of like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
But Nicolas Cage kind of I feel like maybe he picks his own movies, and he's like, well, if I accept everything, something's got to be be good.
And I mean, also recently, I don't know when it was exactly, but he had the financial troubles of being like ripped off by his agent, and so he had to just take projects in order to keep going. So I'm sure that had some to do with it. But
when he was in Mandy, and that was great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has good movies recently, but I think that a lot of the lesser projects he's just been picking more so out of obligation, But hey, you gotta make that paper, right?
Especially if you're Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, man. And yeah, I do. I like Rebecca Hall as well. She's almost similar to Blake Lively, and also someone like Olivia Wilde, where again their project picking is a little inconsistent in terms of quality, which I'm not saying is really their fault in terms of the quality of the movie, but sometimes they don't pick the best projects for them. But yeah, and I just love the Boston setting, and also like you had mentioned maybe before the show, the heist with the nuns, or the nun costume, I should say.
Yeah.
Which is really good. And then the final...
Some good imagery.
Yeah, the final act at Fenway Park, and how all of those shootouts and those, I guess, the plan falling completely apart is great.
That heist with the nuns is scarier than the nun in the Conjuring universe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we might be, I don't know, I'm still going to try and get the Conjuring universe show going at some point, but...
Yeah, see the Annabelle trilogy on your...
No, it's the Dragon Tattoo trilogy. Although I do have the first two Annabelles over there.
My very bad. I do see Insidious over there, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say it's a little long. It's about 2.5 hours, so maybe at times it overstays its welcome, but I still think, unlike a lot of others, it has a lot of good content and a lot of good twists and some very, very good set pieces, and it's quite well directed, I think. And I think it shows how much more I prefer Ben Affleck as a director than as an actor. So he's another one who does not pick the best projects, but when he's given good material, he can be very good.
Yeah, he's like it's kind of a hit or a miss when you have, because you have a lot of actors directing movies these days.
Yeah,
because the only qualification you need to be a director is be an actor.
Yeah, just know where to put the camera, right?
Just already be in Hollywood, then they'll let you direct something.
Pretty much.
So, you have people that do it well, like Ben Affleck and Olivia Wilde's new movie is really good.
Booksmart, yep.
I think Natalie Portman's movie was pretty good.
Yep, she directed one as well.
Now that I say it, I can't think
Brie Larson as well.
One that was bad.
I mean, she did Unicorn Store, which was quite good earlier in the year.
I'm trying to think of an actor that directed a bad movie, but now I can't.
Sean Penn.
Sean.
Yeah.
Mr. Sean Penn.
Yeah, he did this one. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't completely verify, but it has like a 4% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh.
It's called The Last Face, and has Charlize Theron and
George Clooney. We were just talking about that earlier, right? The movies he's directed.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's someone. I think he and Sean Penn have kind of fallen flat a little bit in terms of their directing, but there are some good actor turned directors, and I think Ben Affleck in a way started or reignited that trend, with films like this and Argo, and I guess it opened the doors up a little more for other actors to try and do it, and I mean a lot of them are doing that now, which is really cool to see. So yeah, it's and I also like the dynamic of Ben Affleck with Blake Lively towards the end, where they have this romance kind of on and off again, troubled romance, but then he of course is with Rebecca Hall, who again, that romance is also troubled in terms of terms of the dynamics. And I like how, I think it's in the clip we just heard where Blake Lively is saying that if she's not, because they're hoping to run away together, Rebecca Hall and Ben Affleck, and she's wondering why. Okay, why isn't she here getting ready and everything? And so there's this interesting love triangle between those three characters, and it's one that I don't know if I've really seen that done before in a film like this, and I think it's interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing you're saying about John Hamm, although I do like him a lot, it's rare he changes the look of himself for films. I always see Don Draper.
Yeah.
And so and it's similar in this where I see him and I can't get that out of my mind. And so
Baby Driver, he looks pretty different.
Exactly. But that's something it's rare I don't see that character when I see him on screen. So it's a little distracting in this movie, but
because Don Draper is just Mr. Ham himself.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. So, but across the board, the performances are quite good, and
I found out that apparently, because if you go back and watch some of his earlier stuff, his voice is a little like less gravelly.
Who, John Hamm?
Yeah, a little more like higher pitched and normal, I guess you could say. I found out recently, I was watching an interview with him that God, I don't remember what year he said, but he had to have some surgery on his vocal cords because there was a polyp.
Ew.
And it just like dropped his voice, made it all gravelly. Like, it didn't sound terrible, but it just sort of that's why he's a little gruffer sounding now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's excuse me. There's the dynamic of Jeremy Renner and Ben Affleck. I think there's this scene at this fence line where Jeremy Renner is trying to get Ben Affleck to stay in the criminal group or stay robbing with him, but then Ben Affleck is hoping to leave with Rebecca Hall, and so there's this buildup of tension of Jeremy Renner having saved Ben Affleck's life in various cases in the past and kind of feeling like he's owed more time with kind of Ben Affleck's partnership and trust. And so there's that tug and pull of Ben Affleck wanting to leave and get out of the criminal life, but his very close friend trying to pull him back in various ways. And so there's some really interesting kind of small character arcs and dynamics that are sprinkled throughout the movie that I think work really, really well. So it's a good one, Jacob.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I think we're about to do The Pines, right?
We are.
Yeah. So it all comes spilling out there. Got a lot to say about that. On the heistiness scale,
it's good.
It's pretty up there.
It's good, yeah.
So I think I give it a 4 out of 5.
I'm a 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Half star kind of man.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I guess we can move on and get to The Place Beyond the Pines, released in 2013. We have a clip. You know the drill.
All right.
That means you don't gotta tell me. Just as like a common courtesy, or there might even be a law, you know, you gotta fucking tell somebody.
Haven't heard from you in over a year. You just took off. Never called me.
I gotta leave in 4 hours. I don't know what to do.
You do whatever you need to do.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm going to school. I take care of Jason. I work here. I have a man. So that's what I'm doing. That's my life.
You're busy.
Yeah, I'm real busy.
keep you.
All right. Yeah, well, Jacob and I were just talking. Our chairs that we are not, or that we're sitting on, aren't. We're just sitting on these kind of hard metal chairs. And it's like we were saying, if people donate, we could maybe get better chairs. So that's one incentive for you to donate.
Which means that a better podcast for you.
Exactly, to literally comfort us by donating and get us better chairs. But anyways, so Place Beyond the Pines was released in 2013, although I guess it premiered at festivals in 2012. It's directed by Derek Cianfrance and stars Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Eva Mendes, Mahershala Ali, Ben Mendelsohn, and God, what's the guy's name? The mousy kind of guy.
Dane DeHaan.
Yes, thank you. Rose Byrne as well. And the synopsis is, sorry, it was loading. A motorcycle stunt rider turns to robbing banks as a way to provide for his lover and their newborn child, a decision that puts him on a collision course with an ambitious rookie cop navigating a department ruled by a corrupt detective. So this one, yeah, it's directed by the guy who also did Blue Valentine before this, and he most recently did The Light Between Oceans with Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander.
I see.
And although this was the first one that I had seen of his films, and now Jacob, this was a first time watch for you, right?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this movie. I'd never heard of it. I went in completely blind. Didn't read anything about it. Didn't even know that Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper were in it.
What a thrill.
Didn't know Bradley Cooper was in it till he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know Dane DeHaan was in it till he showed up.
Yeah.
It was a completely blind experience.
Yeah. Well, what'd you think?
It was great.
Yeah. Pretty darn good.
I wasn't expecting the segmentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like an hour into the movie, our main character dies. And I was like, we're just on this new guy now.
Yeah.
And then sort of have like a time skip. And then we got new main characters.
Yeah. I mean, the film is, if you haven't seen it, it is separated really into three almost like short films where it follows Ryan Gosling for about the first hour, then Bradley Cooper for about the next maybe 45 or hour, and then their two sons in the last third act or so of the movie. And so it's this guy, I mean, he loves to delve into like the I guess impact of generations and time, and how just one choice can affect many generations later. And
it's not something I noticed was the movie is not exactly segmented in like a typical 3-act structure.
No,
it feels kind of more like a stage play,
yeah,
Act 1, Act 2, like Act 1 being Ryan Gosling, Act 2 being Bradley Cooper, and Act 3 being their kids. But the kids' story is obviously the shortest.
Mm-hmm.
Bradley Cooper doesn't take up all that much time, and Ryan Gosling is like a big chunk of the movie. But
yeah,
the segues are just perfect. Like,
yeah,
it just flows so well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think this is probably my favorite Ryan Gosling performance. I love, and it might also be appearing on our highs and lows that we do at the end of the bonus shows now. But the look of his character, I love. Just the kind of trashy tattoos and like stained jeans.
He's always got his shirt inside out.
Yeah, like the bleach stained jeans and that stuff. And I just love that look of the character, and he's so good in it. And he works really well with Eva Mendes, who of course now he's married to. So
feels very similar tonally, I guess, to Drive.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
With a motorcycle,
and
not quite the same. And the plot feels very familiar. Of like, guy finds out he has a baby. He's not really all that fit to be a father, but he wants to prove that he is. So he turns to unjust means to to provide for his family, and then starts giving him all these gifts, but then it's like really uncomfortable. And then, but even though that did feel very familiar, I thought that it was done in such a good way that I didn't care that I've seen that a lot. In other places.
Mm-hmm. And I guess in the opening scene, which is amazing, and I think the director said there's only like maybe a dozen people in the U.S. who are able to do this, where it's this Ryan Gosling is this expert motorcycle driver at a amusement park or circus, something like that.
Circus, I think.
And they drive in this spherical like metal ball, and they like it's 3 motorcycles going at once and kind of twisting and turning all around each other, and but never touching or anything, and it's going at high speeds. And
I've seen that in real life before.
Oh, really? Have you?
Yeah. I was at a carnival in New York with my sister and my grandfather, and I saw.
Oh, nice.
I saw that.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's a very, very small number of people. It requires an incredible amount of just dexterity and focus and just skill. You know, it's impressive, and it looked to me in the movie that it was real. So
yeah, I know. I know there's the scene where it's like it shows Ryan Gosling getting in, but then there is like a cut or something where obviously it's not him, but I think they did actually film it. So
stuntmen that could do that.
Yeah, and I know that the guy who did most of Ryan Gosling's stunt driving was the guy who drove the Batmobile in the Dark Knight trilogy, and who did a lot of Batman's stunt driving. So
that must have been the easiest casting call ever. They're like, we need a guy that can do this with a motorcycle, and like the only guy in LA that can do that is like, oh, here I am.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I love. I mean, I think the first act or the first section that is with Ryan Gosling is my favorite. It's just there's so many. He has a great ability to create really memorable, powerful moments, and his movies are generally very, very serious and dark. Oh, bless you.
Excuse me.
Very serious, and it's just. I feel like I'm just immediately invested, and I love it feels very like Citizen Kane-esque, but the opening shot where it's Ryan Gosling walking through the park and putting on a shirt and everything, and just these very small little directorial touches are great. And I think out of all the movies that we're talking about, I think the heists and the chase sequences are my favorite of all these.
Ben Mendelsohn is great.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's really good. I like when Ryan Gosling is robbing the banks and his voice keeps cracking.
I was about to say that. It's like, yeah, he has like almost like a really high, effeminate, like get up. Yeah, it's like
his voice is cracking over and over again.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know if that's just like was happening or if like Ryan Gosling was doing that on purpose to
there's some I can't
express like nerves or something.
I can't remember what, but there's some other movie where he's having to shout, and that's kind of his voice. And so I think it's just when he gets nervous, or when people get nervous, their voice will just heighten like that. But I think especially since it's not something he's great at in terms of the character, it makes sense why he's kind of shriveling up in some ways. But yeah, I think the motorcycle chase through the graveyard is incredible.
Oh yeah,
that's the driving and all of that, and then of course the final sequence with him where it's in the house and you meet Bradley Cooper, and that whole or that moment where how the shooting occurs kind of affects Bradley Cooper's his whole life really after that.
Bradley Cooper had been in a few movies.
Yeah, he was in Silver Linings Playbook, I think the year before.
Was The Hangover out before this?
Yeah, that was a few years before.
Yeah, because he looked really young in this movie. Like they made him look they younged him up.
Yeah,
for the first part.
Yeah,
and then like 15 years later, when he was supposed to be older, they just gave him a beard.
Mm-hmm.
And made him look older.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and I love the score as well. A really cool kind of brooding score. And there's also a use of an Ennio Morricone piece from, I can't remember which movie, but they reuse that in this. And there's some, this guy also really loves symphony, or not symphony, though it's like the church choir kind of music. What would you call that?
Like operatic.
Yeah, stuff like he uses that a lot, and I think in The Light Between Oceans as well. And so I really wish. I mean, I love all of his movies, but I just wish he would maybe make more. But again, maybe it's better he takes his time.
Choral, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked that, you know, Ryan Gosling kind of suffers, I guess Luke Clayton kind of suffers like the ultimate consequence. And then you have Avery, he suffers no consequences other than the ones that are inside of him, because he completely mishandles the shooting and then lies about it, but no one ever finds out.
Mm-hmm.
And
because he makes that one choice, and then he makes one lie, and then he is lying for the rest of his life, really. So
yeah, and then the corruption happens, and he wiggles his way out of that and puts all those guys away.
Mm-hmm.
Which was Ray Liotta shows up.
That's right. Yeah,
in his typical slimy self.
Yeah,
wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
and then it's pretty much just him dealing with it. You know, like, first of all, the revelation that this kid that AJ meets up with at school, which I had my suspicions, but the revelation that's Jason, I was like, oh wow,
yeah.
You know,
Ryan Gosling's son.
And yeah, I thought it was a really great moment at the end when he steals his wallet and he opens it and there's that picture.
Yeah.
With them at the ice cream place.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know,
he can't let it go.
I think that's the moment that Jason realized that he was maybe regretful.
Yeah,
you know, and that's sort of why he left them alone.
Yeah, but he's been on this path for so long, he can't really get out of it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just got so many, how one choice affects another in the movie is really expertly done, and I love, there's so many memorable locations and lines of dialogue, and I really like Bradley Cooper in it as well. Eva Mendes is quite good, maybe a little over the top, but I think she still works pretty well. And it's, yeah, I've revisited it many times, and it just never gets old. It's just something about it is very compelling. And
Mahershala Ali is pretty limited in this movie, but
he's good.
He's good, and I think the first thing I saw him in was wasn't he in Moonlight?
Yes, yeah, he's the opening guy in Moonlight.
This is the first thing I saw him in.
Which he's amazing in that, even in the time that he is. So, and
of course he's in True Detective and Luke Cage as well.
Mm-hmm.
Upcoming. He's not in Fast and Furious, is he?
Don't believe so.
That's Sterling.
That's Idris Elba.
Oh, man.
Although Sterling K. Brown was in The Predator last year.
But and Dane DeHaan in this movie, he's a real hit or miss.
Yeah.
But this role was perfect for him.
And it was really one of his first, his breakout, really.
He like fit this role so well.
Yeah.
Just this kind of loner kid, loner stoner.
A loner, yeah, a loner stoner.
But he, because then you have, I liked him in Valerian, but I don't necessarily know if he was like the best fit. Didn't necessarily like him that much in Cure for Wellness. He's just a real...
Yeah, he is hit and miss.
Weird guy.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but he was great in this. I'm not a huge fan of AJ, but
right.
I think maybe that was the point.
Yeah. And it's Emery Cohen, who was in Brooklyn, I guess a few years ago, I think he's much better in that, because in this, I mean, he's a pretty unlikable character, But again, like you said, it's kind of the point.
And they had that kind of dramatic irony where Avery's kid turns out to be this just criminal shithead kind of kid, and then Luke's kid is a pretty decent kid that doesn't really get in a lot of trouble, and it's like you'd think that his kid would grow up to be a little bit more like misbehaving, especially because he doesn't know who his father is and all this. And then you'd think that the other kid who grows up in like a politician's family and would be a little bit more well behaved, but it's like a swap.
Yeah.
And you do find out that Avery and his wife are divorced, which I didn't realize Rose Byrne was in this movie. It took me a little while to recognize her because I've never actually seen her in a movie, but I have seen her in interviews. And of course, she's Australian, and her American accent's like really good. So,
have you not seen
it's Rose Byrne.
Bridesmaids or Neighbors or? Oh wow,
not yet.
Wow, yeah, not yet.
I've been meaning to watch Bridesmaids for a while.
Oh, it's good.
Never gonna do it.
Yeah,
is Neighbors any good? Is Neighbors like actually?
It's not bad.
Good movie.
Yeah, and the sequel wasn't that bad either, actually. But
I'm every now and then I'm in the mood for some juvenile comedy.
goofy comedy.
But yeah, I love her.
It's one scene I like a lot with Bradley Cooper after where he hasn't gone crooked, I guess, is where he's dealing with having shot this guy and he's in therapy, and the therapist is bringing up the idea of him not being able to look at his young son, because the idea is brought up of him being so heartbroken that he's killed this father who also has a 1-year-old son.
And maybe that's why AJ grew up the way that he did.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Maybe that sort of removed his dad from his life a little, like sort of was less attentive or something.
Yeah, I agree. And Bradley Cooper in that scene is great, and I love the scene where I guess the photo in the movie is taken where Ryan Gosling is trying to give the baby ice cream for the first time, and he turns on the motorcycle, but it scares the baby, obviously, and so it shows how he can be so I guess childlike, but then at the same time he can go rob a bank and be violent. But again, that's almost, in the way that he does it, is very childlike and immature. He's not thinking things through, and obviously in the final
the first time he gets back to the truck, he's like throwing up and like
and then of course in the third time where Ben Mendelsohn crosses him, he doesn't have his sunglasses on. He is riding a different bike because Ben Mendelsohn broke his up, and so he does everything in a very childlike way. But some things, like giving his child ice cream, is very endearing, whereas obviously being a bank robber isn't. But I can just say it's one of the most memorable, powerful movies I think I've ever seen.
It was it held my attention the whole time. I think it's like a 2.5 hour,
close to it,
hour movie, and the segments are just pretty well broken up. Like it's an hour, it's like an hour, like almost an hour, like 30 to 40 minutes. It's all broken up real well, and it shifts focus so well. And I really like Bradley Cooper's acting in this. The whole corruption thing, he's kind of just along for the ride, and he just can't really believe what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's never really explicitly stated, but when he walks into the house and he says, "I'm sorry for your loss," it's very clear that she recognizes him as the man that killed him.
Yeah.
And you don't really realize what they're doing until they get the money. Like you think like, oh, Eva Mendes is going to jail, but then they're like, oh, we're keeping it. I'm like, oh, so they're corrupt.
Yeah, that is a really tense, unsettling sequence where they pick up the baby and all that stuff.
That's really impactful.
Yeah.
Because he's holding the baby of the man he killed, and that probably messed him up even more than he was already messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the very powerful ending when Jason's got him on the ground with the gun pointed at him and he's just crying and saying, he says, "I'm sorry," because he's had to live with this lie his whole life. He's had to live with the sort of quick trigger move that he made. And he doesn't go after him. He doesn't press charges. He accepts what he's done in the end, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's that there's that moment where they're going to put Jason away for like 5 years for possession, and since he's like district attorney or something, or assistant district attorney, he makes it just a misdemeanor, and they're like, "Oh, someone's looking out for you." And
because he realizes who his father is.
Yeah, and he's trying to make himself feel better.
Yeah, and he tries to make AJ stay away from him, and all that, and
keep himself out of trouble.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just really like that ending, where once again you have another character that's not really suffering any consequences. Jason's not really suffering any consequences, but like, it's like, are we supposed to feel like he deserves not to suffer any consequences? Like, is this like recompense? Like, is he, it ends with him just leaving, I like that moment where the guy's like, "You ever ridden one of these things?" And he just
goes for it. And he's kind of just naturally good at it. So
yeah, and you think like, is there some sort of like magical realism going on here? Like he's just inherited the ability to drive a motorcycle from his dad.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a powerful ending for sure. It's if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you should check it out because it's really worth seeing. No matter who you are, just to give it a watch, and really love it. So I'm glad you liked it.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was Ryan Gosling is a man of many hats.
yeah, he is. Yeah. All right. Well, out of 5.
5 stars.
5 for me. Yeah.
5 stars.
All right. Well, just a couple left here. We can move on to our review of 999. And we have a clip.
Oh, yeah.
You take a listen.
Only fired a warning shot. 12 gauge tactical round.
Running.
Yeah, we're dealing with the crash and bash. 4-man team. We're pulling surveillance now.
Dive pack destroyed most of what they took from cash, but their focus was on a security deposit box.
Yeah.
Belonging to who?
It belonged to a wealthy Russian named Dmitry Pekov.
Family claims they have no idea why he would keep a box here. That's Walter Sims, the bank manager, right behind him.
Walter. Detective Allen. First time being robbed? No fun, right?
They got pictures of my family, my daughters, where we live, my daughter's school.
Walter, you're a bank manager. You should be smart enough to know that the monster has gone digital. Be careful what you Insta-Google tweet paste.
All right. So, 999, released in 2016, and it's directed by John Hillcoat, and it stars a huge cast. Casey Affleck, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Anthony Mackie, Woody Harrelson, Aaron Paul, Kate Winslet, Gal Gadot in an early appearance, Norman Reedus, Teresa Palmer, Michael Kenneth Williams, Clifton Collins Jr., and I think even maybe a few more. And the synopsis is: a gang of criminals and corrupt cops plan the murder of a police officer in order to pull off their biggest heist yet across town. So this one was kind of a smaller film, and it grossed $25.9 million against a budget of $20 million. Oh, actually, I never said what Place Beyond the Pines grossed. It made $47 million against a budget of $15 million, so not too bad.
Not too bad.
But I guess unlike a lot of the others, this one was met with pretty divisive reviews. I mean, I'll say it's similar to King Arthur Legend of the Sword for me, where I hated it the first time I saw it, and I've kind of sat with it and rewatched it since, and now I do like it a fair bit, but I really did dislike it the first time I saw it.
Oh, something. Sorry, something.
No, that's okay.
Something I wanted to say about Place Beyond the Pines. Jason or Dane DeHaan in the cast list is credited as baby Jason. And I was so confused by that when I first saw it, because I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But this was like, I was checking the cast list for some reason, and this was before Dane DeHaan showed up in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, there's no way he plays that baby. Like, he'd be like 7 years old today.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was real confusing. And
He's a real chameleon.
And then he shows up, and I was like, why is he credited as baby? Like,
that is weird.
Some other character or some other actor is playing baby Jason.
Yeah.
They're not getting their dues. But yeah.
Yeah. So this one,
999.
yeah. So 999, this one, yeah, is dealing with, I guess, police code for, which is 999 is a police officer being killed.
Yeah, policeman down.
Yeah. And it's all about a group of corrupt cops trying to kill an officer in a certain location, so that way every cop in the area will rush to that location, so that way they can then pull off a heist somewhere else nearby, not being at all affected by the law in terms of having, I guess, law enforcement coming around them, because everyone will be distracted, so to speak. But the thing that, and it'll make an appearance in a little bit, but the opening heist, like many of these that we've talked about, is fantastic. And the red smoke, the red dye packs that open when they're driving away from the bank looks amazing. Like where the van is filling up with the red dye, and then they let the windows down, and it's kind of flowing back behind them, and it's just like they could not be more noticeable now, and so it's, that heist is great, and where they're getting on top of the cars and shooting these assault rifles across a highway, and all of that stuff is amazing. And also score by Atticus Ross, who's worked with Trent Reznor a lot on Gone Girl and Dragon Tattoo and Social Network, and it's a great score, really good score. But one thing I think I will say is that this movie, I think there are too many faces in this, recognizable faces. I think that people like Aaron Paul really stick out as just being unnecessary in terms of the amount of time that they're on screen. It just feels very distracting having people like him there. And his performance is not that great either, I would say.
It's too star-studded.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, for like the scale of this movie, it's pretty small, and the kind of the budget and everything, it feels...
It's no Ocean's 11.
No, exactly. And although I do really like Kate Winslet as this kind of over-the-top Eastern European villain.
Mm-hmm.
I
like Norman Reedus in this.
Yeah, from The Walking Dead. He's quite good as well. I wish he was in it more.
Yeah.
So
he like dies, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like halfway through.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, but I do like it's not gone into that much, but the Casey Affleck is kind of dealing with, I guess PTSD to a certain extent, but he's almost just dealing with the boredom of his life. And so I guess that's why he's kind of become a little more corrupt, and like he's watching videos of Iraqi war footage on YouTube and stuff like that, just trying to distract himself, although he is in this movie, a great gum chewer. How he chews gum is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it was a whole class at his university.
Yeah. But one thing I think it does get, like, along with the casting, it's just too overstuffed with characters and subplots that many don't get really wrapped up, and not really in a satisfying way. They're just kind of left unfinished, and I think that at times it does overreach its grasp, but I still find it to be a very beautifully shot and gritty and very tense heist crime thriller. And I like the idea of these crooked cops working with just kind of straight out bank robbers, and
Very aesthetically pleasing movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, John Hillcoat did The Road, and he did Lawless and Proposition, the Australian Western.
Is this the director? Lawless?
Yeah, the one with Tom Hardy and Dane DeHaan, actually. Yeah. Tom Hardy and Jessica Chastain about the...
Right over there.
Yeah.
Right on the shelf.
The very same, yes. About the Prohibition era alcohol dealers. But it's one sequence that I love is the scene where they have the riot shields and they're going into this house with a riot shield and bullets are flying off, and just like that kind of police strategy is done very effectively.
I like there's like a scene in a club or something, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
I like that one just in terms of it, like visually.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, now are you? I don't know the best way to put it. But I mean, is this? Do you prefer like darker, grittier thrillers like this in terms of heist films, or do you like the brighter, more wacky ones like Ocean's 11 and stuff like that?
Oh, I like the like the crazy, silly ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, this kind of film still, definitely has its place for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of a overlooked movie, and I can see how a lot of people wouldn't like it. I mean, I was there at one point because I remember John Hillcoat saying he wanted it to be this kind of sprawling ensemble piece, which in many ways that it is, but maybe at times too much so. But I still think it's a memorable, not unique, but at least it feels a little bit more inspired and thought through and deliberate in terms of its structure and storytelling than many others like it recently. And I appreciate its violence and its grittiness. So
yeah, I was approached by one of my friends who I used to watch a ton of movies with, and he was like, "Hey, I just got this movie 999 on Blu-ray," and I had heard of it, but he was like, "I heard everyone hates it. Do you want to watch it?" And I was like, "Let's give it a go.
Let's do it."
And so I don't have any strong opinions going in, because when everyone says they hate a movie, I automatically think, well,
I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I automatically think, well, time for me to have zero expectations. Because if you have zero expectations, you have the potential to go really high or really low.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think that to just go off on a little bit of a tangent.
That's
here,
fine.
I think that like review is just so untrustworthy these days. Like it's so difficult for me to get an idea of whether or not a movie is going to be good. I use some air quotes there.
Mm-hmm.
Just like based on like what someone has said, because like even on Letterboxd, I'll go on Letterboxd and I generally follow people that I agree with. I'll go on Letterboxd, I'll go look at a movie that's coming out, 5 stars, best movie I've ever seen, 0.5 star, this movie is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Just literally right next to each other. And I'm like, what is that even, like, what am I supposed to do with that?
That's Jacob Swafford in a nutshell.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
So I give up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'll grab a movie and I just won't even look.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just pop it in and I'm like, I loved that. And I'll go and I'll look on Letterboxd, whatever, and everyone's like, this is trash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
fuck
well. So with 999, I watched it and I was like, I don't really see any problems here. Like, it's not the best movie I've ever seen, but I was like, it works for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you hit it on a first watch. I think a lot of people could benefit from seeing a movie more than once.
I agree.
Maybe not everyone has the time, but because whether or not you're going to like a movie depends on a lot of things. It can probably depend on the mood you're in at the time. It could depend on what you're choosing to pay attention to the first time around. It can depend on like how attentive you are. Maybe you're missing some things because your brain is wandering at certain times. So you watch it again, you'll notice stuff you didn't notice before. maybe you're in a better mood this time. You know, maybe certain things that didn't really catch you before are going to be catching you now. You know, since you already know what's going to happen in a scene, you can start focusing on like things in the background and like things that other characters are doing. And it all just sort of comes together in a way that I think can make a second watch very useful.
I agree.
So everyone watch every movie twice.
Yeah. Make the time.
Yeah.
That should be the motto of our podcast.
You know, because then of course, you know, there's a little bit of a difference. I hear a lot of people say like, oh, I rewatched this movie I loved as a kid and it was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, it did not hold up.
Yeah.
You know, movies like The Goonies, you know, they hold up. But I've heard people say some of Disney's like earlier animated features or something were just pretty terrible. But all of that to say, I like 999.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hear from more and more people the same look at or take on critics these days. It's like
they're useless. Get rid of them.
It's so
Fire them all.
Yeah, it's so oversaturated these days. So saturated with opinions. Like for us, for example, I mean, we're talking about it right now, but
well, it's because there used to just be just professional critics. You know, I mean, there still are, but like it used to just that would be all.
Now there's freaking like, YouTubers that are doing all that crap. You know?
It'd be all professional critics like Roger Ebert and like other people would be like, you know, that's who you go to find out if you want to see a movie. And now it's like all like user created. Like you go on like Letterboxd and anyone can just say whatever the hell they want about anything. They can write one sentence as their review. You know, their review can just be like a 1 sentence joke, and you look at it and you understand.
Yeah.
You know, and or someone on Letterboxd writes, you know, 17 paragraphs, breaking it all down.
Yeah,
and you're like, I don't have time to read this.
yeah.
But
yeah,
yeah, and then like you said, you got like all these YouTube channels now. It's like
fucking hate YouTubers, man. I honestly do.
It's a hot take.
Yeah,
you just they throw up a movie, and I just saw this. You know. Here's everything I think.
Listen to
about
me. Like, get over yourself.
If there are any YouTubers listening,
and here we are talking. For
Henry wants you to unsubscribe.
Yeah. Here we are talking for 2 hours about movies.
Subscribe from the podcast.
Yeah. So
you know, but I think it's important to talk about movies for fun. You know, like that's what we're doing here. It's important to talk about movies critically. That is important. But just talking about movies in a pure critical way has never really particularly interested me. And I guess some people might think that makes me simple-minded or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did go to school for 5 years to learn how to talk about a movie.
Yeah. Man, it has paid off well.
So
yeah,
here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Having fun
in our living room or in my living room, talking about movies.
Our living room.
Yeah. This is your living room.
I don't have a place to live right now. If you're
talking about movies,
if you're making room,
yeah, please donate to help Jacob
nice couch back here.
Find a house. You know, so. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I mean, I don't mind reading reviews, but I can't stand the over analyzing like. All the painting on the wall is a metaphor for, you know, whatever sexual awareness or something. Like it's stuff like that.
Sort
I'm not
of
really
pretentious stuff.
Yeah, like I mean, I'll make my own opinions. Like I don't really care to read much stuff about that. But
Henry and I had a professor in college.
I was thinking of him exactly.
Who will remain unnamed.
Who,
would really delve deep
into Coen Brothers movies. Big time.
All of these characters represent an animal based on their name.
Yeah.
You know, when you start like overanalyzing it, and then like it's done in such a way that you start to be like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're like, whoa, no.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
It starts to lose any kind of magic you once had for the movie, you know, so.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, and one thing I'll mention before we wrap up is I like in the opening title sequence, there's the scene of Kate Winslet looking over at this trunk where there are these two guys stuffed in with all of their teeth taken out, and she throws the Ziploc bags of teeth onto them, and this shuts the trunk door. Very violent image, but it works for the movie.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Love that teeth pulling. So, all right, well, out of 5 stars.
You know what? I'd give this one like a 4.
Me too. Yeah. We're not much controversy on this show. Not like that one we had
We've
with
only been off by half a star.
Yeah, not like that one with Sky and Jessica a month or two ago where we were disagreeing about everything. So
we need to get Sky on here.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to get him on,
like
but he's
a Marvel thing or something before he heads off to grad school.
Yeah. Although isn't he just in Winston-Salem?
Yeah, but he'll probably be busy.
He can make the drive. Hey, I'm going to be in school in the fall. I'm still going to be doing the podcast. He can do it.
Yeah.
I hope he's not listening. I didn't hear that. So, all right. Well, cool. I guess we can move on to our final review, the last one, everybody. So settle in.
Come hell or high water.
Yes. We can get into our talk on Hell or High Water. And we have a clip, the very last clip of the day. So take a listen.
So, what's the plan?
We're gonna watch that bank like a deer feeder. In time, we'll be right. Now, let's see what they got to eat here. Howdy, ma'am. How you doing today?
Hot, and I don't mean the good kind. So what don't you want?
Pardon?
What don't you want?
Oh, well, I think I'll just,
You know, I've been working here for 44 years. Ain't nobody ever ordered nothing but T-bone steak and a baked potato. Except this one asshole from New York tried to order trout back in 1987. We don't sell no goddamn trout. T-bone steaks. So either you don't want the corn on the cob, or you don't want the green beans. So what don't you want?
All right. So the Hell or High Water was also released in 2016 and is directed by David Mackenzie and written by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote Sicario and wrote and directed Wind River as well. And it stars Chris Pine, Jeff Bridges, Ben Foster, Dale Dickey, William Sterchi, Buck Taylor, Taylor Sheridan, very briefly, actually. And the synopsis is a divorced father and his ex-con older brother resort to a desperate scheme in order to save their family's ranch in West Texas. So this one, it was Taylor Sheridan's follow-up to Sicario, which was a huge hit, at least critically.
Mhm.
And then this one grossed, I should say, it grossed 37.9 million against a budget of 12 million. So, a bit of a small hit.
Pretty good.
But was a huge, like every audience loved it. Like, I remember it getting like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes when it came out. And
I should say, out of every movie we've talked about today, what did we talk about after Ocean's 11?
Public Enemies.
Yeah. So out of every movie we talked about today, this is the only one I saw in theaters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I guess starting with Place Beyond the Pines, every one of those since I've seen, but then everything before I didn't.
Yeah, because all the other ones were just sort of before I was a real theater head.
Cinephile.
Yeah. There's this whole movement now of the whole we're gonna release a movie in theaters and home streaming on like the same day.
Yep.
And I'm like, and everyone's like, yeah, I can just sit in the comfort of my own home and watch a movie. And I'm like, no.
Go see it. Although the theater experience is becoming more and more excruciating by the minute at many times. But
only because of the other people.
I know.
Hopefully, if they do this, and theaters manage to stay buoyant with that model, when we go to the theater, there might be almost no one there.
That's fine with me. So yeah, this one was the score is by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis, who have done a lot of they did Wind River as well, and they do a lot of neo westerns. Like they did The Proposition, the John Hillcoat movie we mentioned. They did the Assassination of Jesse James with Brad Pitt.
Great movie.
Yeah, and so they should just do like every neo western that comes out, which they kind of do in many respects.
Have you seen the new Child's Play?
I have not yet. I would like to at some point.
Bear McCreary does the score for that,
yeah.
which I thought was really interesting.
Interesting.
'Cause he's the Walking Dead
Yeah.
Score and some other big project, I think. But after I saw that in the credits, I was like, I can notice that now.
Yeah.
But wouldn't expect to see him there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they should just do every western because they just have that sound down, I think, and I love every score they do. And it's just a kind of opposite of Sicario. It's there's a lot of comedy to it. And although there are still some serious moments for sure, I do like the opening sequence of them kind of being very out of their element in terms of bank robbing and like trying to be like polite, but then the bank manager getting on their case and like kind of trying to one up them, and they're clearly not experts on it. They're just guys who put on masks one day and go rob a bank, and so it feels, I don't know if relatable is the right word, but you can see how these could be real people, you know, like anybody could go do that if they wanted.
Yeah, the politeness thing, it reminds me of it's an episode of Shameless, the TV show, where these two characters like go into a bank, and this one guy's under the impression they're about to rob the bank, and he like the other guy like writes down on a note something, and he like goes up to the teller and like hands it to her, and so the other guy thinks he's written down like put the money in the bag, like, don't make a scene or whatever, and then he's like starting to pull out his gun, and he's like, whoa, what are you doing? And he's like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm withdrawing money from my account. And that's like, and he just like wrote down like the amount of money he wanted out of his checking account. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's like that miscommunication, you know, for sure.
Like, would you please put the money in the bag?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to make a scene today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because there are some of the scenes later where Chris Pine is like, please, ma'am, please do this for me. You know, it's stuff like that. That is fun, and I think this is a movie that kind of reminds you that Chris Pine can be more than just a Captain Kirk kind of pretty boy.
A pretty awful mustache in this movie.
I dig his mustache in it. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm not attracted to it. It's just it works.
He had that West Texas accent.
Yes, he did. For sure. But I really like him in this. And Ben Foster, similar to some of the other people we've talked about, is kind of hit and miss. Like there are movies like this where he clearly feels invested, but then other ones where it just feels like a paycheck to him in terms of his performance. But I like him in this. And Jeff Bridges, I mean, he's funny, but at times he's just being Jeff Bridges and his character from True Grit, which at this point is getting a little old. Like he's
a cowboy, man.
Yeah, I know. It's just he's been doing that persona in so many movies since. But I still, in a vacuum, I like him in the movie, and I like his partner as well. And I just like the West Texas setting, and some of the little characters that pop up feel genuine, and it's very well written, very well directed. And I like the sequence towards the end where all these different like cowboy like people get in their trucks and start chasing after Chris Pine, and just that kind of like almost stereotypical American kind of action, or like the guy who pulls out the gun during one of the robberies and starts to shoot at Chris Pine. He's like, obviously I have a gun, you know, this is America, you know, stuff like that is good. And Yeah, it's a very fun, entertaining movie. You know,
Oh, yeah.
very, very simple. Were you going to say something?
No.
Oh. But yeah. What's your take on it?
My take? Yeah.
Right.
I like the Western aspect.
Yeah, like
No-
a No
none of
Country
the,
for Old Men kind of deal.
That's what it reminds me of a lot.
Yeah.
Because Josh Brolin his character in No Country kind of feels similar to the characters in this. You know, it's kind of like same energy, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, like none of the other movies we've covered today are really like a Western style thing, and that's not a setting that you would think of for heists, you know, unless you know it's the days of the outlaw. But this is obviously not. This is like modern day. They're robbing modern banks. So and I do like there's only so many ways you can do a bank robbery, and I appreciate the attempts to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And this one, it has a unique take on robbing a bank.
Yeah. Did you see we reviewed it on the regular show Destroyer earlier this year with Nicole Kidman?
Mm-mm.
There's a really good bank robbery in that. I mean, it's conventional in the I guess main sense, but it's done really well. And so I love a good bank robbery in a movie, you know. Just like that, I just love urban warfare in movies, like just cinematically. I think it really lends itself to interesting moments. And I think that while this one is maybe a little bit more forgettable than other ones we've talked about, it's still, for the most part, a very easy watch, very fun, and has a little bit of heart to it as well. Like there's the subplot with the mother who's passed away, and they're kind of struggling to get over that, and then also support themselves with the loss of her. And
I like heist movies that are more about, or just heists, I guess, that are more about going after like a specific object as opposed to just getting as much money as possible.
Right.
And heists that are in like unique locations, like instead of just we're gonna go to a bank or a casino, you know, like a museum heist or something, or like a heist of like a temple or like a skyscraper or a hotel or something. You know,
Yeah.
Unique places.
What's some other ones that stand out to you as ones that do that really well, or some of your favorites?
There's like ton in like the Mission Impossible series.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really what was mostly on my mind.
And you love Baby Driver, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which we reviewed on, I think that was maybe our third or second show.
And that's interesting because that focuses less on the heists themselves and more on zeroing in on one role. Like it's zeroing in on the role of the getaway driver. You know, which is interesting. You know, not really something that's been done. Because you always see the heists from far away in that movie. He's never really directly a part of them.
Right.
You know, so. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's similar to Drive in that respect, where it just follows the driver. So, where you're just kind of watching something happen from far away,
I think,
or in the periphery.
I think there's a couple in James Bond, maybe.
Oh yeah. James Bond has a few as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's again,
All
it's
the
just
crazy gadgets and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a genre that really just naturally lends itself to creativity and some really interesting situations, and clearly people have been able to keep it going and make it feel fresh, and with many recent films. So
and some of Guy Ritchie's films, of course.
Yeah.
Snatch
Now,
and
have you seen Aladdin?
Not yet.
Not yet. Jacob.
I know.
Well, it just crossed like 900 million at the box office, so
Really?
you might. I don't know how longer it's going to stay. You got to get on
it's
that.
still in theaters.
Yeah.
From what I saw. Maybe I'll catch a matinee.
Yeah, man.
Guy went to see Avengers Endgame again.
Was this the director's cut?
This was before they had put it back in theaters. I was like, I want to see it again.
Mm.
And I went at like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Paid like $5 for a ticket.
Nice.
No one was there. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's just Hell or High Water. It's a like we said, it's a fun film, and
it's in Ye Olde, Texas.
Yeah, although it's probably of the films Taylor Sheridan has written. Although I guess the Sicario sequel would be below this. I would say it's Sicario, Wind River, Hell or High Water, and then
I've not actually seen Soldado yet.
It's not too bad. I haven't seen it since the theater, and I would like to rewatch it, but it's it's fine.
Sicario is
amazing. Oh yeah,
I love that absolutely brutal moment at the end.
Which one?
Which this is spoilers, so
hey, it's all right.
Skip ahead if you want. The absolutely brutal moment at the end where Benicio del Toro is with that guy at that dinner table.
Oh, he kills the whole family?
Yeah, with his wife and his kids, and he's like, "Please don't do this in front of my family." And he's just like, "Pop, pop, pop."
Time to meet God.
And he just kills them all, and he's like, "All right, it's not in front of your family anymore." And I was just like, that was just the coldest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and Roger Deakins shot it. Crazy. It looks amazing.
Yeah,
like
he still doesn't have an Oscar, does he?
No, he got it for Blade Runner.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Although, yeah, that movie is so good.
Blade Runner?
That and Sicario both are, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Sicario, I mean, Day of the Soldado it's worth checking out at some point. So,
in the beginning of Sicario, when they find all those bodies in the walls.
Oh yeah, and the sequence through the city and onto the highway is probably my favorite part.
I need to watch Sicario again because I didn't really understand a lot of what was going on the first time. It's kind of thick.
Which, I mean, I think in some ways is kind of the point because Emily Blunt is confused as to what's happening. So, yeah. But it's you need a couple viewings of it, for sure.
Josh Brolin's in that too, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah. So, all right. Well, anything else about Hell or High Water?
Good. It's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. Well, it's a 4 for me.
Yep.
4? All right. Cool. Well, I guess we can just end off with our highs and lows, our top 5 highs and lows, which if you didn't catch the John Wick trilogy bonus show that Jacob and I also did recently, we've kind of started kind of doing our top 5 and bottom 5 moments of the films that we talk about. And so I guess we can start with 5 and work our way down to the best and the worst. So do you want me to go, Jacob, or do you want to kick things off with the top 5?
I'll kick it off.
All right.
So in no particular ranking order or anything, I would say that I don't know. It's
no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's a little bit too difficult to.
Yeah. No, you're fine. You're fine.
To go from the best to the worst.
Mm-hmm.
So in no particular ranking order, I'd say the heist with the nun masks from the town. Just pretty much all of Place Beyond the Pines.
Just the place. Yeah, just the film.
Just the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit and use
by all means
use a specific thing from Place Beyond the Pines.
That's okay.
Well.
Yeah.
That the motorcycle
spinning
sphere thing.
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah.
Brad Pitt in Ocean's 11. And
great hand tattoo.
And just sort of the visual aesthetic of 999. My favorite color is red, and there's a lot of red sort of blended into that movie, and just the way it's shot, and just visually it's appealing.
Yeah, the more I think about it, it does look amazing. I love. Yeah, it's great.
So there you go.
All right. Well, for me, kind of going down from, I guess, counting down to the best. So 5 would be the opening heist and red smoke visual in 999, like I talked about. Just looks great. Very, hadn't really seen that type of heist before in terms of what you see and that red smoke and everything. The bank robberies and motorcycle sequences in Place Beyond the Pines, just so well directed, so tense, and all really practical stunt work. Then the cast chemistry in Ocean's 11, just kind of you can't really beat it. You know, it's just everyone works so well together, very funny, very charismatic with each other. Then 2, Johnny Depp's performance in Public Enemies, just one of my favorites of his. He's amazing in it. And then 1 is Ryan Gosling's performance and overall character and look in Place Beyond the Pines. Just one of the most memorable characters I think I've ever come across.
All right.
So, all right, well, what about the lows for you? Top 5 lows.
This one, once again, is a little bit more difficult.
It was for me as well. You want me to go while you're...
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right.
I didn't do my homework again.
Oh, Jacob. This guy brings me back to our college days.
Didn't see your message until I was on the way here.
All right, well, yeah, we'll give Jacob a break this time, you know. So, all right, well, 5 is, again, none of these are really bad things. It's just almost like out of obligation having to pick something. But Eva Mendes's performance in Place Beyond the Pines, she's good, I think. But compared to everyone else, she's a little overdramatic.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kind of sticks out at times, but I still like her. Then Jeff Bridges being too Jeff Bridges in Hell or High Water, just a little too much of the same thing that we've seen a lot from him recently. But in a vacuum, it's entertaining.
Right.
Then the distracting casting in The Town with John Hamm, and then in 999 with Aaron Paul, just faces that I can't, not really that's on them, I just can't really separate them from their very iconic roles in films like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, the overabundance of characters and subplots in 999, just a little too much going on, a little too messy. And then I guess we never really talked about it with 999, but the ending shot and sequence in this movie is very confusing because it ends with Woody Harrelson, who's a detective, being shot and sitting in the back of his car, and then the movie just ends. And he's, throughout the whole film, he's not really the one that you're following for the most part. And so it's this very weird ending to a film that, like, it's kind of building up to a point, and then we're like, okay, so why are we watching him sitting in a car, like, kind of thinking about what he's just done, where he's not really the one we're caring about or focusing on. And so it's a very weird, very abrupt ending that kind of sours me out in that final few minutes, but you know, still like the film. So, all right, that's it.
All right. So, AJ as a character.
Oh yeah, that's a
really,
good one.
Not really like a fan of his, you know,
too over the top.
Yeah, like his whole like hood rat performance.
Right.
Like, you know, it's like, where did he even get this from? He grew up in like a white politician's house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm never really a fan of white people that act like that. But yeah, so didn't really care for that. I wish Norman Reedus was in 999 a little bit more than he was.
Yeah.
Because I'm just a fan of his. He kind of got knocked out a little early. What was it I was going to say? Chris Pine's mustache.
Right? Sure,
Not
that's a good one.
Not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Another actor I wish was used a little bit more is Mahershala Ali in Place Beyond the Pines, but I think maybe he wasn't super famous at that point.
Nah, he wasn't.
So, you know, maybe that's just, maybe I wish that just because he's a little more famous now.
Right.
But I think he could have contributed a little bit more
Yeah.
to the overall story. And
number one.
There's something I was going to say about Public Enemies.
It's okay. I can edit the silence out. It's all right. Take your time.
I guess just out of all of the movies, I like Public Enemies for its performances and its cinematography, and like its setting and everything, but I'm not the biggest fan of how the story plays out.
Sure.
So
yeah, it's the way it goes,
It sucks. The movie's terrible.
Yeah, garbage. Michael Mann, you blew it.
It's all right. Next time, I'll write it down. I promise.
We'll do Black Hat, right? And
next time I'll have it ready.
It's okay.
I'll do the homework.
The listeners, I think, are very forgiving. All right, so it's no worries. So
they might riot.
Maybe
they might not want me on the show anymore.
We'll have another Film Buds riot on our hands.
You'll have to do it by yourself.
Yeah. Hey, let's do it. I'll do a bonus show all by myself. I'm just talking to myself here. So, all right. Well, I guess that about does it for the Heist movie special. And again, please go to thefilmbuds.com/donate to donate to the show through PayPal or through Patreon, or to donate or to download some of our Film Buds merchandise or some of the premium podcasts or other bonus shows that we've done, some which Jacob has been on, which are at the filmbuds.bandcamp.com. And all of that stuff is in the show notes as well. And please send us emails at thefilmbudspodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and everything like that. And also just on thefilmbuds.com, we have all of the posts about upcoming episodes and all of that stuff. And I worked a lot of time on the website, so it'd be nice if you could go check it out sometimes,
You should tell them, have you told them to, maybe they could suggest bonus shows, ideas?
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Well, I guess kind of reiterate, if you have an idea for a bonus show of directors, actors, genres that you'd love to see reviewed, please let us know in any way, because we'd love to hear from you no matter what. And so, yeah, well, Jacob, as always, man, I appreciate you taking the time and making the drive and all that stuff. It's always good to see you.
If I was any closer, I'd want to be here more often.
I know, man. I know, but that drive is killer.
It's about an hour,
Yeah.
But you should just come back to Greensboro.
I know, man. Well, I'm gonna be there 4 or 5 times a week for the music business program. So, in a way, I'll be coming back. I'll be making that drive pretty much every day now. So, which will be really great, really great.
Jenna, her boyfriend had a job in Raleigh for a while, and he was driving between here and Raleigh.
That's rough.
For like months.
That's rough.
Like waking up at 5 a.m. to go there, and then like coming home and not getting home till like 9 or something.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, well, because she, this girl Jenna, she designed the Film Buds logo.
Oh,
yeah, and she also is designing the Music Buds logo. So
cool. I didn't know that.
She's living vicariously through us or through the logo.
We should get her on here.
I know. I told her at some point
Ghibli show.
That would be really fun. I was telling her I would love to have her on and try and get maybe Jacob Swafford on as well to have a little UNCG reunion. That'd be really fun. But again, we'll keep you all updated, and please follow us and rate the show on iTunes, all that jazz, because it helps us out little by little.
Mr. Coen Brothers on here.
No, that's okay. That's all right. No disrespect, but not this time. So, all right. Well, we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.